In the Philippines, we're often told a story. It's a powerful one, about our waters, our territory, and foreign invaders trying to steal every inch of our sea. This story makes for great headlines and even better political speeches. But what if this narrative, the very words our leaders are using, is legally wrong? And what if these mistakes are unintentionally leading us down a path to a conflict we really do unteam? Today, we're diving deep into the hard truth behind the Exclusive Economic Zone, or the EEZ. It's a term that sounds like a solid fence, but in the world of international law, it's actually more like a special kind of lease. So, what is it? The 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, defines the EEZ as a 200 nautical mile area that extends beyond a nation's territorial sea. Within this zone, a coastal state like the Philippines has sovereign rights to explore, exploit, conserve, and manage all the natural resources. Think of fishing, oil, and gas production. But, and this is the crucial part, other nations retain their rights to navigation and overflight. To truly grasp the EEZ, we have to go back to what's known as the Grand Bargain of UNCLOS. For decades, developing nations fought to protect their valuable resources, like fish and oil, from the powerful navies of larger countries. The compromise they reached was a brilliant piece of diplomacy. You get sovereign rights, but not full sovereignty. Let's break that down. Sovereignty is like owning your house. It's your property, your rules. In maritime terms, this is our 12 nautical mile territorial sea. Inside this area, we have full control. We can decide who enters, we can set all the rules, and no one comes in without our permission. Sovereign rights, on the other hand, are more like a business license. In our EEZ, we have the exclusive license to profit from the resources, the fish, the oil, the gas. It's our economic privilege. But the water itself, it remains a global highway, open for passage. Let's compare them side by side to make it even clearer. First, control. Our territorial sea, that 12 nautical mile zone from our coastlines, is under the full sovereignty of the Philippines. But in the EEZ, which stretches 200 nautical miles from our baselines, we only have functional rights. This means we can use the resources, but we don't have the same absolute control as we do closer to shore. To pass through our territorial sea, they need our permission or must conduct what's called an innocent passage, which is heavily regulated. But in the EEZ, they have freedom of navigation. They are legally allowed to sail through. Third, foreign aircraft. When they fly over our territorial sea, they have to file flight plans and follow our rules. But when they fly over our EEZ, they have freedom of overflight. No permission needed. So, when a foreign warship sails through our EEZ, they aren't technically violating our sovereignty. Under international law, they have a right to be there. Calling them intruders or invaders isn't a legal argument, it's emotional politics. It paints a picture of an attack on our homeland, which is simply not what the law says. Now, here's the part many politicians don't want to talk about: boundaries. Article 74 of UNCLOS is very clear. You can't just draw a line on a map and declare, "This is all mine." You have to negotiate maritime boundaries with your neighbors where claims overlap. We've actually done this successfully. Our maritime boundary negotiation with Indonesia took 20 years, but we got it done. It was a long, patient process of diplomacy. However, we haven't completed this process with our other neighbors like Vietnam, Malaysia, or Brunei, all of whom have overlapping claims in the sea. Even the term West Philippine Sea is a domestic name. It's our name for the area, but it isn't an internationally recognized, legally defined maritime boundary. Some legal commentators argue we don't need to deposit official coordinates at the UN, but without them, our claims are like trying to sell a piece of land without a registered title. It makes it incredibly difficult to enforce our rights in an international court of law. We need those clear negotiated boundaries to make our claims solid. So why does all this legal detail matter? Because words have very real consequences. When our officials tell the public that a foreign Coast Guard vessel sailing in our EEZ is an invasion, they're setting a dangerous trap. They create a public expectation that we must drive them out at all costs, or else we are seen as weak or cowardly. This constant escalation of language, this rhetorical inflation, isn't just harmless political noise. It's like throwing a lit match into a room full of gasoline. It's a spark for a fire we can't control. And let's be honest, this narrative, the one that frames every maritime encounter as a hostile violation of our territories, exactly what some global powers want. By framing China as a bully encroaching on our land, we inadvertently open the door for our country to become a strategic military outpost in a much larger superpower rivalry. We become a pawn in their global chess game. So what's the solution? We need to return to the principles laid out in our own constitution. It clearly states that the Philippines renounces war as an instrument of national policy. We are meant to be friends to all, and enemies to none. But you cannot be a friend to all if you are misrepresenting international law just to stir up nationalistic fervor. By sticking to the actual law, by understanding and communicating the difference between our territory and our economic zones, we can lower the temperature and take the heat out of the water. True, effective diplomacy isn't about posturing or trying to look tough or weak. It's about being precise, being strategic, and being accurate. If we stop treating the EEZ like a battlefield and start treating it for what it is, a complex, legal zone with shared uses, we can find smarter ways to protect our fish and our oil without inviting a war to our doorstep. It's time to stop the overclaiming and start the negotiating. It's time for patient, persistent diplomacy. Because in the high-stakes game of superpowers, the only way for a country like the Philippines to truly win is to refuse to be a player on their board. What do you think? Is our current maritime strategy really protecting us? Or is it just provoking a neighbor and getting us caught in the middle of something much bigger? Let's have a real conversation about it in the comments below. Thanks for watching.